Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Try-F Podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. And today we are talking about the history of Halloween. Everybody has been uploading a bunch of videos about the history of Halloween, but there was one in particular that annoyed me. So it was basically very pro-pagan, so we're going to review it and complain about it as things pop up. And that's pretty much the long and short of it. Cody, how are you this evening?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I am all right. Cannot complain. Trevor?
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. I got a new mic, which I'm trying to figure out, but we'll get it.
We'll get her figured out for sure. So before we begin, I had a question I wanted to pose to the group here. So what was you guys' childhood experience with Halloween? Did, we talked about it before, but did your parents, ban you off and on?
Oh, yeah.
Very sheltered.
Very sheltered.
Couldn't watch Harry Potter. Hell, it's a miracle we were all able to watch Lord of the Rings, man.
Yeah.
but not Harry Potter.
Yeah, I was like 2 or 3 years late to the party on Lord of the Rings because I thought it was witchcraft. So, yeah.
Well, it is witchcraft.
No, it ain't.
Not really.
Not summoning actual demons. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So we're pretty. There's this idea that because I guess Halloween had pagan roots, that we're not allowed to worship it, even though the church kind of repurposed it and stuff. So I don't really agree with that personally. Do you all have thoughts?
I'm kind of in the same boat.
In the same boat?
Yeah.
Mr. Cody?
I just I like to look at it from a non-hateful kind of way, because the kids enjoy it, and
yeah,
it brings joy. So
that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
Not to mention the sugar rush.
And the sugar rush, yes, and the sugar crash, which means they'll go to bed.
Right.
So, yeah.
Maybe.
If you time it right, maybe. So, all right. Well, if that's all we've got on that note, then we're just going to jump right into this thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go.
Rock and roll.
All right. Here we are.
Halloween, a night when the boundary between the living and the dead grows thin, and the ordinary world transforms into a realm of shadows.
Need a little more volume.
Costumed figures roam the streets, but behind these playful disguises lies a deeper, darker tale, a story rooted in ancient rites and restless spirits. Long before it became a night of candy and mischief, Halloween was born from the fires of Samhain, the Celtic festival where the veil to the other world was at its most fragile. A time when spirits walked among us and offerings were left to keep them at bay. This was only the beginning. Roman gods, Christian saints, and medieval superstitions all left their mark, turning Halloween into a patchwork of beliefs, a holiday of evolving fears. We'll unravel how these traditions survived, adapted and morphed across centuries, becoming the night of haunting that we know today. From its pagan roots to its modern form, Halloween is more than a night of tricks and treats. It's a ritual that echoes with the whispers of the past.
And already we've got some framing. It's a ritual. That's fun. So we were just talking about, how we just think it's a fun night for the kids, and they're like, no, there's magic behind it. So.
Yeah, I do think the veil is thinner around that time.
I've heard that off and on. I'm not sure exactly why, though. Why people say that. I guess because of its pagan roots?
No, I would say just like the cycle of time, like the way this realm works, man.
Cycle of time. So like something to do with the moon or the...
Oh yeah, it's all electric. Like the stars are like a big circuit board of how things work down here. So it's like, like the winds and the rains and the snows and like where the stars are affects the weather, and so it could also affect the said veil between the living and the dead.
Okay, so elaborate on that. How do the stars affect the weather?
like the season that you're in, how far away the sun is.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's tied to the seasons.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's like the cycle of the year. It doesn't just apply to the seasons. Like it applies to other things too.
Like spirit realm?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So what is it about, I guess maybe this is self-evident, but I'll ask the question anyway. So what is it about, I guess the transition from summer to fall that makes it a time of hauntings?
Well, you also have to think about it. There's a lot more people that are like thinking about it, so they're knowingly or unknowingly projecting, manifesting.
Well, yeah, but that's cultural. That's not throughout time.
So Trevor, are you saying that you believe that it's more tied to people's expectations about the spirit realm that's making the spirit realm more active, whereas Cody's saying it's more tied to the seasons?
Oh no, I agree that it's tied to the seasons as well, but it's also, people like you and me that are thinking about it, talking about it more.
Where attention goes, energy flows. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're saying it's both.
Could be.
Maybe.
We're theorizing.
We're theorizing, right? Well, and theoretically, it ties to both.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm completely ignorant on the seasonal aspect of it. And I'm trying to decide what it would be thematically. I suppose, like, if you were to look at it from the pagan tradition standpoint, it may be because they used to worship these old gods and stuff, they would pray to these pagan deities for a good harvest or something like that. And maybe the fruition of that might tie to the pagan nature of the thing, perhaps. Maybe that's the seasonal tie to it. But that's about as far as I would be able to guess as to why they would want the pagans of the past would want Halloween to be kind of a spiritual type of holiday. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But of course, that also is, I'm not sure how that ties into death necessarily, unless you want to equivocate harvest to death, which I wouldn't think you would want to do.
No.
I mean, you would think that'd be a time of reaping for people, but as opposed to the death of plants, but I don't really know, so...
Yeah, I mean, we harvest earlier than the fall. The fall is like the leaves falling off everything, man.
So
like your corn's already been picked.
So you don't think it has anything to do with the harvest so much as it's fall itself?
Yeah, what the fall represents, like the winter equinox represents, whatever, and the fall represents the fall. Things falling.
Okay, so like the process of things dying as opposed to like the season of death itself, which is supposed to be winter, perhaps.
I don't know, I guess.
I'm just trying to climb into these pagan ancestors' heads and trying to figure out what the correlations would be.
Well,
I think it's just observations of the seasons, man. It's like they're seeing what is happening and writing stories based on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've chased that rabbit well enough. We'll continue.
Let's go.
Prepare to explore the haunted history of Halloween, where the old world and new meet under the same moonlit sky.
I just want to say I really want to figure out where they did their effects, because these are really good effects. And I have no idea how they put those together. So
practice. Lots of practice.
It's a new kind of animation, like that. I think it's tied to AI or something, but it's really good. I mean, I don't. There was an advertisement for a graphics company that came up the first time I watched this. That I'm going to try to maybe look into at some point, but I was just really impressed with the graphics on this thing too. Even though the film kind of started to irritate me after a while. Anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sarwan, a word spoken softly, almost swallowed by the wind, yet it carries the weight of centuries. For the ancient Celts, Samhain was more than the end of the harvest. It was the end of light itself. As October gave way to November, the days grew shorter, the nights longer, and the world seemed to pause, caught between life and death. It was in this stillness, at the edge of winter, that Samhain opened a door to the unknown. This was a liminal time, a threshold where the veil between the mortal world and the other world was at its thinnest. On this night...
Okay, so that's what we were talking about before. So they're claiming that the mortal world and the spiritual world's veil is at its thinnest.
Yep.
What does that mean and why?
Or why does it mean and when?
Sure. Because I'm like, okay, it's fall. Things, I guess, are fixing to go to sleep for the year. Why would that make the spiritual world more active? I guess because things are technically dying. I'm assuming that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would just say that it's probably magnetic, and we can't see. The light spectrum is immensely huge, and we can't see most of it.
Yeah.
With our eyes. So
we're just guessing. It's okay if you got a thought, run with it, because we're totally guessing here.
I mean, I'm just saying we can't see it. Like most of the time. So like, I don't know what it has to do, how it works, but probably light and magnetic.
Okay. So like there's a shift.
Undulations.
Like a shift in the magnetic field or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Trevor, you got any thoughts?
I have thoughts, but then they keep running away.
Can you catch one?
Well, it's just basically,
No?
yeah. Sorry, I lost.
No, that's all right. We'll move on. It's okay.
The spirits of the dead could walk among the living. Ghosts and ghouls, once confined to distant memory, became immediate and real. The Celts believed these spirits were not mere spectres. They were ancestors, guardians, and sometimes vengeful entities, seeking something from those still breathing.
Demons. I'm just saying, demons.
To ward off these roaming souls or to win their favour, the people lit massive bonfires, their flames a signal to both the living and the dead. These fires blazed high on...
A signal to what?
Huh?
A signal to what? They're like, oh, it's a signal to both the living and the dead. A signal of what? What were they signaling?
That's kind of a claim, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's just, it's bloviating. I'm getting bloviating vibes. I'm like, you're telling me a bunch of poetic crud, but you're not saying anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, this goes back to what you were talking about, the AI thing.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I'm like so confused, sort of. It's because this is a new perspective for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've heard, the Celtic basically came up with the idea of Halloween and their history and backstory. But this video is throwing me for a loop because it's got all the effects and everything. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, wait, we're actually supposed to be talking about this.
Yeah, the graphics are amazing on this video. I can't compliment the production team enough, but whoever wrote this, I'm like, what are they signaling? What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around what they're talking about, and by the time... Yeah.
I remember hearing stuff like that on... like Ancient Aliens and stuff like that. They just make these stupid claims. And NASA does it too.
Yeah.
Like the aliens built the pyramids. I'm like,
yeah.
Maybe maybe people were just
Maybe you're
smarter
wrong.
than you think they were, you know? It's like, why don't you just admit that people weren't idiots before the light bulb?
Right.
You know, Einstein had a baby with his first cousin.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It's like evolution came around, and then all of a sudden, you know, incest was back in vogue. It's like, we're advancing, guys. We're going to marry our cousins. Progress. Okay, moving on. Starting the video.
Moving
again.
on.
Hilltops, guiding lost souls and keeping darker forces at bay. But the bonfires were not the only defense. Costumes and masks were donned, animal skins and grotesque visages, to confuse any malevolent spirits that might be prowling the darkness. Disguised as beasts and beings from the other world, the living moved through the night unnoticed by those who sought to harm them.
So, they pretended to be demons because they thought the demons wouldn't recognize their masks. I think the fact that they're physical beings would have been a tell.
Yeah. That would be my guess.
Dare I say, whoever theorized that was just making it up. It's no different than what we're doing on this thing. It's like, I don't know why they did the mask thing. Maybe they were trying to hide from the demons, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, what's your minute marker on this video?
I'm sorry?
What's your minute marker?
3:31.
3:31.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I'm going to start it up again.
Go for it.
And on doorsteps and windowsills, offerings were left. Food and drink to placate the wandering dead. Better to feed them than to feel their wrath.
Okay, stop. What? They can't eat.
Yes, they can.
Demons, well, yeah, they can eat people. In a manner of speaking, but fruit?
Maybe
Yeah.
can Santa.
So Santa's a malevolent spirit that devours cookies?
Milk and cookie.
Satan and Santa have the same letters.
You
in their
said
name.
that last week.
I know. I'm going to keep saying it until somebody goes, oh. And we all wake up.
So, like, would the cookies and milk be like a pagan sacrifice?
Yes.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Absolutely.
That's so
I know,
dark.
isn't it?
It's so
Isn't
innocent
it?
sounding, but it's so dark. Huh.
It's wild, dude.
Oh, gosh.
And you're lying to your children, people. You're
Oh, I
lying to
know.
your children.
I know. I hate that. You're about to make me go on a rant. Oh, it drives
Uh-oh.
me nuts.
He's
Like-
ranting. He's ranting.
Yeah, I'm ranting. I'm going to go for it. Dadgummit, you open the door. So
Here comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus riding down Gary Lane.
yeah, apparently Satan's coming down. Okay, anyway. So these people say that this is such a great idea to lie to your kids about Santa Claus. And first of all, I think this is one of the first things that makes people atheists, because you encourage them to believe in something that's just complete nonsense, and the whole dad blame town cooperates with this lie, which is enough to make any kid neurotic, because it's
wasn't Saint Nick an actual guy though?
Yeah, and he was cool. He punched another saint in the face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, he was awesome. The
I
real
heard
Saint
that
Nick was, yeah, he was awesome. Ryan Reeves has a history video about Saint Nick and who he really was. He was a cool guy. There's no reason for the dude in the red suit. Like, Saint Nick was legitimate by himself, in my opinion. But everybody sits there and goes, "Oh, it's just an innocent fairy tale or whatever, and we're just letting the kids play." It's like, no, at some point they're going to start asking questions, and they're going to figure out you lied to them. And so when you tell them about God or things that are actually real, they're going to be like, "I don't know, I can't see it, and you told me Santa Claus is real." I mean, I know that sounds trite, but why do you think those angry atheist types always go back to Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny? In my opinion, I think it's because it's kind of the design.
Yeah, that's the base of their belief.
Yeah, they were lied to as kids, and they're bitter about it. But
Yep.
so, I mean, I've never understood that. But the social pressure, I guess you will, is so strong, and I always liked the way my mom framed it. She was always like, yeah, Saint Nick is basically a mascot for the real Saint Nick, and it's just kind of a way of commemorating that particular saint, which I thought was accurate enough, but most people don't even bother to explain that much.
Yeah.
Like Santa Claus is real, and you better do this, or you better be good, or you're gonna get a lump of coal or whatever. And talk about a conspiracy theory. People are like, conspiracy theories aren't real. Like, what are you, insane? And I'm like, entire towns lie to children for fun. Like, that's a conspiracy theory right there. You don't need a smoke-filled room. You just need a bunch of lazy parents. All right, I've ruined somebody's Christmas. I'm moving on.
Central to Samhain's rituals were the Eos,
yeah, we're hitting play.
The spirits and fairies of Celtic lore. Far from the whimsical beings of later fairy tales, the Eos were powerful and...
It's weird. It's a pagan holiday. Let's see. I'm scared to actually get off this thing. It's called Sarhain. It's like Sarhain, but they're pronouncing it a certain way. I don't know what the correct pronunciation is, but it's like, yeah, Sarhain, something like that. So, yeah, the original pagan holiday. Didn't sound anything like Halloween. So, okay. Yeah, so, okay, we are on 351. I'm going to click now.
Often dangerous. They were seen as the guardians of the other world, keepers of ancient knowledge, but also tempters and tricksters who could lead humans astray. On this night, more than any other, the Eos required respect. Gifts were left to appease them, and warnings were whispered to children to stay close, lest they be spirited away.
And that's the real source of these things. Kids, shut up. Do what you're told, or the demons will get you, or Santa Claus will give you a lump of coal, or Krampus will take us away. It's just coercion. We don't want to talk about like morality or the why behind the what. Just kids, shut up. So, all right.
You're right, man.
Kids are meant to be not heard and not seen.
Just stay in the background. Just keep quiet.
Keep quiet. Stay away.
Everybody's just trying to scare the shit out of the smaller guy so he'll do what he wants.
Right?
The elites are doing to us.
Yeah.
That's what we do to our kids.
Yeah, it's just a little power trip,
Farm animals will teach you that too.
Yeah, children are to be seen. What did you say, Trevor? They are not to be seen or heard, and then they wonder why their kids end up on meth. It's like, when did that happen? Probably sometime when you told them to go away.
Yeah, you told them to go make friends with their imagination. And, they still have those friends.
So they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
They talk to shadow people.
Yeah. Yeah. Kid wants to see the demon they heard about, so they take meth. All right, 413.
The Druidic priests, the learned class of the Celts, played their part in these dark celebrations. They gathered by the firelight, casting their eyes into the flames, searching for signs from the gods.
That would hurt.
They read the future in the flickering light and curling smoke, performing sacred rites to divine the fortunes of their tribes. For them, Samhain was not just a festival. It was a time of prophecy, a moment to peer into the year ahead. Would there be abundance, or would there be suffering? The answers lay in the embers. Samhain was also a night for stories. Dark tales told by the fireside of spirits that could slip through the veil. Of the dead returning not as benevolent visitors, but as twisted, vengeful beings seeking to drag the living back with them. Of monsters and creatures that roamed the woods and hills, stalking the unfortunate or the unwary. For the Celts, the other world was not some distant, dreamy place. It was a shadowed mirror of our own, filled with danger, deceit, and perhaps a hint of doom. With the fire crackling and shadows dancing on stone walls, the people of the Celtic lands would keep their vigil. A night to honour the dead, to commune with spirits, and to protect against the unseen forces that might break through. Samhain would mark the end of one cycle and the beginning of another, a doorway to both the past and the future, one that even today in the modern world remains ever so slightly ajar.
Okay, it's just bloviating again. Like, it's just basically said prophecy, future, past, like 6 times now.
Yeah, no, it's just repeating what it already. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're about 5 minutes in, and what have we learned? They were...
After positively nothing.
Yeah, I can't think of anything specific that we learned that we didn't already know so far.
I mean, it struck the idea of the fire being a window into another realm.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you're right there. So there's the fire being another realm. They said something about them looking at the future in the embers, but they didn't go into any detail. So
yeah, I mean, that part could have been made up, but just the idea in general is interesting because, I mean, it's a big, like a fire is like a disturbance in the air. Like it's you're seeing a different light spectrum than, So, I mean, it could be like a window.
Okay, so maybe it's like the fires are somehow creating a portal to another realm.
Yeah.
Okay. Trevor, you got any thoughts?
A fire is always a portal.
Is it? I don't know. So is that like an established thing that the fires creates a portal?
Well, I mean,
chaos, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of I don't know how to explain it. It's like an opening of a door. If you trying to think of how I could word this.
So Cody was saying it's emblematic of chaos because it's like destructive, and that, I guess you could say, symbolic act is creating the portal.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Is that maybe? Well, I don't want to go that far with it, but okay. So it's a destructive, emblematic of a portal. They're signaling the spirits. So when it said signaling the spirits at the beginning of the thing, it's saying, "Hey, come here."
Yeah, I guess so. It seems kind of dumb in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like that's a bad idea.
Well, I mean, why do they light candles every time they do a seance or any type of that type of deal?
I just assumed aesthetics, but maybe there's something to it. So.
They're getting ready to call in the spirit or whatever.
Okay, so you need a flame to call in the spirit. That's interesting. I never thought of that. Yeah. I mean, that's.
It's also like an indicator, like a canary in the coal mine situation.
Okay. Okay. So it's like an omen of things that are about to pop up.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And if you have 87 candles lit and they all go out at the same time, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, you'd be in trouble if that happened.
It's just the wind.
Well, or you did the spell wrong. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, we'll just move on then. We're summoning demons of fire because we got to keep them kids in line.
Yeah.
All right. So 548.
But the story of Samhain did not remain purely Celtic for long. The Romans arrived with their legions and their laws, and like all conquerors, they brought their gods and customs, folding the old beliefs into their own. The Romans were skilled at this, taking what was already sacred and giving it a new face. And so the firelit nights of Samhain found themselves entwined with Roman rituals that also paid homage to the cycles of life and death. Pomona was one such goddess, an ancient deity of orchards and fruitful abundance. In her honor, the Romans celebrated the harvest, but they also embraced the eerie change that autumn brought, where ripe fruit might suddenly drop and decay, reminding all of the thin line between life and death. Under Roman influence, the apple, a symbol of Pomona's power, began to slip into the Samhain rites. It was said that if you caught one with your teeth, you might catch a glimpse of your future, a lover, a fate, a fortune yet to unfold, a harmless...
Okay, so I guess we need to point out kind of an elephant in the room here. So obviously the Bible never says what the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is. So is the fact that it's usually an apple maybe influenced by this Roman tradition?
Possibly.
I'm just spitballing.
I don't know. I've always thought the fruit of knowledge, or the fruit of what's it called?
The fruit of the tree.
The fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Okay. Yeah, isn't it? Like the fruit is knowledge, I think, symbolically.
Yeah.
It's like once you know something, like if you go around telling people all the time, like you're an asshole.
Well, then you're me. So. But anyway.
if you keep it reserved, it's like it's good.
Gotcha. No, I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting correlation with the apple, and maybe that's why that's what we're always shown, them biting into an apple.
Well, I mean, what's one of the most successful companies in the world right now?
Apple.
Dun, dun, dun.
So is that like an actual thing? Like the company Apple chose the apple because it's like forbidden knowledge or something?
Possibility. Depends on how deep you're willing to believe.
I just heard that there was some kind of satanic component to that, but I haven't heard the story behind it.
I mean, if you really look at it, why does Apple product have a bite out of the apple? What does that represent?
I'm assuming. Well, I'm assuming Eve, but I don't know. Like humanity biting into it.
You bought a phone.
I'm sorry?
Took a bite when you bought a phone.
Or any product. Any Apple product has that apple with a bite out.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I bought an Android, so...
So where are you stuck when you first buy an Apple product? Because when you buy one Apple product, you have to keep buying Apple product. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
You could just not buy Apple product, but...
I mean, I have an iPhone, but I don't have any. I don't have any headphones. I've got regular headphones.
Yeah. But you have to have an Apple charger, right?
Yeah.
Well, isn't the software exclusively owned by Apple as well? Like they don't integrate.
So,
it doesn't integrate very well.
Like.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that they've got their own system.
Does it make it more efficient? Because I've never really worked with Apple.
Makes it more private.
Makes it more private.
Apple hasn't sold our information. I mean, Androids. I mean, they're like data mining factories.
Oh yeah.
Well, I feel sorry for my FBI
iPhone's
agent.
a private company, so they're.
Are you sure about that? Can you use Google on your Apple product?
Because don't they make their phones in China? Maybe they're selling it to the Chinese.
I don't know.
So maybe Xi Jinping or Pooh Bear's got embarrassing pictures of you. Let's just say if I pity my FBI agent, there's a man who's going to need therapy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay. So, all right. Anyway, we'll move on because that got weirdly tense, but that's all right.
This game today, but then it was a serious divination. The boundary between the worlds was still thin, and the apple was more than a fruit. It was a portal. And there was Feralia, a day set aside by the Romans to honor the restless spirits of the dead. Here too were customs that mirrored Samhain's darker tones, offerings left for the souls who wandered the earth, prayers whispered to ease their journey. As the two cultures intertwined, the boundaries between their traditions blurred. Roman settlers, with their fear of forgotten souls, found a strange kinship with the Celtic reverence for the dead who might return. What emerged was a woven celebration of both the harvest and the haunting, a festival of ripening life and encroaching death. This merging of beliefs wasn't without its shadows.
So let me translate that. Nobody knew why they were worshiping this thing anymore, but we just kept doing it. Just gonna let that hang in the air.
What people do, man.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So they just basically forgot why they were doing what they were doing once the cultures merged.
You know, I mean, have you seen it? Have you seen like that experiment where they put like 9 guys in a room and only one of them doesn't know what's going on, and the dude will be like, "What's 2 plus 2?" And the whole class will say 5, except for the one guy, and he's like, "Isn't it 4?" He's like, "No." "Okay, I guess it's 5." And people just conform.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what people do.
Dude, the most horrifying social experiment I ever heard of was the Stanford experiment. Did you ever hear about that? I think it was called the Stanford experiment.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, basically, they had a group of college students switch off between being prisoners and prison guards. And the power dynamic was terrifying.
Yeah, how brutal people can be.
Yeah, I think they changed laws around after that.
Yeah, you get to see some of that come out, like Boy Scout camps and shit like that.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, dude.
Is it
You
just
get
like
to see people's real selves.
like some weird dominance hierarchy thing, or like?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a hierarchy, and if you get like a unhinged gamma, his dad doesn't love him, and he's just fucking mad at the world.
Okay, I am a very uninformed millennial. What's a gamma?
You haven't. Oh my.
I know what I know vaguely what a sigma is, and I'm assuming an alpha is like the top dog or just somebody who's very loud, but I don't know what a gamma is.
Alpha's more like somebody who makes decisions quickly, knows how to take charge, is okay with responsibility, things like that. Bravo will back up an alpha. I think I'm probably that.
Okay.
And then but a gamma is like, and I might have fell into this, but gamma is like, it's repetitive behavior. Like, you don't know who you are, so you you find something you think is cool and you try to emulate it.
Okay.
It's like idol worship, I guess.
So kind of like a chameleon type personality?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So, but I mean, that makes you a sneaky little liar. So.
Okay. So we don't want to be a gamma, or is there like a good version of gamma and a bad version of gamma?
There's no.
All bad gammas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually gammas are slightly insane.
Slightly insane.
Yeah, I could agree.
That's interesting. Well, I think I'm a sigma because I'm like, oh,
yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. If I understand that correctly, it's kind of like a lone wolf who generally just kind of does their own thing. Pretty reserved, yeah.
And then you'll call out the alpha if you need called out.
Okay. All right, so I guess I'm not a gamma, which is probably a good thing. I know I'm not an alpha. I don't think I like people enough to be an alpha. But so Trevor, what are you?
I am a Sigma empath.
Sigma empath? What the fuck is that?
I don't know what that is.
Do you empathize with Sigmas?
No.
Do you feel sorry for Sigmas? Like you're empathetic with the Sigma's plight.
No, I'm a Sigma that is empathetic towards everyone around me.
Okay, so you're a Sigma, but you don't hate people.
Exactly.
Okay. I guess hate's a little strong. I guess I can say I can go with or without people. Is that a nicer way to put it? I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that checks out.
Okay. Well, now that Freud's had his say, we're going to end this episode. So, thank you all very much for watching.
Thank you.
We will see you all next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.